The silent scream, the emergency beacon cut through space like a knife through silence. Commander Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of the U.S. Prometheus, watching the tactical display with growing concern. The signal was coming from the Andromedis sector, a region most galactic powers had written off as worthless frontier space. Lieutenant Torres, can you clean up that signal? Chun asked her communications officer. Working on it, Commander, Torres replied, her fingers dancing across. The console. It's badly degraded, like it's been transmitting for weeks. But I'm getting something now. The bridge speakers crackled to life, with a voice that sounded like wind chimes caught in a storm. The universal translator worked quickly, converting the alien words into English. This is Elder Corvani of the Quilani Consensus. Our world dies. The Void Hunters have come to our system. They consume everything. Our children flee to the deep caves, but the machines follow. Please, anyone who hears this, we are not warriors. We are gardeners and dreamers. We cannot fight these metal devils. Help us. The message repeated, growing weaker with each transmission. Shun felt her chest tighten. The Koilani were known throughout the galaxy as peaceful beings who lived in harmony with their forest world. They had never hurt anyone, never even raised weapons against the pirates, who sometimes raided their outer colonies. Dr. Marcus Webb, the ship's xenobiologist, stepped forward from his science station. His face was pale with worry. Commander, I've worked with the Koilani before. They're completely pacifist. Their entire culture is built around growing things and creating art. They don't even have a word for war in their language. Chief Engineer Rosa Martinez looked up from her console. Commander, I'm showing massive energy signatures in the Andromeda sector. Whatever's happening there, it's big. Chien nodded grimly. Torres, patch me through to Galactic Council Command. Holographic display flickered to life, showing the stern face of Ambassador Vorthik, a reptilian saurian who served as the Council's military coordinator. His yellow eyes showed no emotion as Chun quickly explained the situation. Commander Chun, Vorthik said in his hissing voice, the Council is already aware of the situation in Andromedis. The decision has been made. The sector is to be abandoned. Sir, there are millions of innocent lives at stake, Chun protested. The Quilani have been council members for over 50 years. Don't we have a duty to protect them? Vorthik's expression didn't change. The Void Hunters are ancient weapons from the old empire. They cannot be defeated with conventional means. Every ship we send will only feed their strength. The mathematical probability of success is 0.03%. With respect, Ambassador, since when do humans care about mathematical probability? Since your species joined the Council and agreed to follow Council law, Vorthik snapped, you will return to your patrol route immediately. That is an order. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Chun stared at the empty space where the hologram had been, her hands clenched behind her back. Commander, Webb said quietly, I've been researching the Void Hunters in our database. They're not just weapons. They're a plague. Every civilization they consume makes them stronger, smarter, more dangerous. If they finish with the Quilani, they'll move on to the next system and the next. Martinez pulled up her engineering reports. The energy signatures I'm reading suggest they're using some kind of matter conversion technology. They're literally turning everything into raw materials to build more of themselves. Torres turned from her station with tears in her eyes. Commander, I'm still receiving transmissions from Kalani ships trying to evacuate civilians. The Void Hunters are hunting them down. They're not even fighting back. They're just dying. Chun closed her eyes and thought about her daughter back on Earth. Emma was only 8 years old, but she already loved alien cultures. She collected art from dozens of different species, and dreamed of becoming a Zen archaeologist someday. How? Could Chun explain to her that when the gentle artists and gardeners needed help, everyone just turned away? All hands, this is the commander, Chun announced over the ship's intercom. We're about to do something that goes against direct orders from the Galactic Council. I won't lie to you. This could end all our careers. It could get us killed. But there are innocent people dying while everyone else debates politics and calculates. Odds. She paused, looking around at her crew. These were good people who had joined the Earth Space Service to explore the galaxy and protect others. Anyone who wants to object or request transfer to another ship, speak now. The bridge was silent. For a long moment, then Webb stepped forward. Commander, I've been studying alien cultures for 20 years. I didn't do that just to watch them get exterminated while I hide behind regulations. Martinez nodded. My grandmother always told me that when you have the power to help someone and you choose not to, you become part of their problem. Count me in. Torres wiped her eyes. Those transmissions I'm hearing, there are children on those ships. I have kids too. We have to try. One by one, every crew member on the bridge voiced the support. Chun felt a surge of pride in her species. And her crew. Very well. Martinez, plot a course for the Andromeda sector. Maximum warp. Course laid in, Commander. Torres, send a message to the Quilani. Tell them help is coming. As the Prometheus jumped to warp speed, racing toward a battle they probably couldn't win, Chun reflected on what made humans different from the other species in the galaxy. Maybe it was their stubborn refusal to accept impossible odds. Maybe it was their tendency to care more about doing what was right than what was safe. The journey to Andromedis took 18 hours. During that time, the crew prepared for the worst. Battle of their lives. Webb studied everything known about the Void Hunters, looking for any weakness they could exploit. Martinez pushed the ship's weapons and shields beyond their normal limits. The medical staff prepared for massive casualties. When they finally dropped out of warp at the edge of the Koilani system, the sight that greeted them was worse than anything they had imagined. The Void Hunters had built a massive sphere around the Koilani homeworld. It was made of dark metal that seemed to absorb light, studded with weapons that glowed with malevolent energy. Smaller hunter ships moved like schools of metal fish, chasing down fleeing Koilani vessels. My God, Webb whispered. It's a Dyson. Swarm. They're dismantling the entire system. Chun watched in horror as one of the hunter ships caught a Quilani transport. Instead of destroying it, the machine ship extended tendrils that began dissolving the civilian vessel piece by piece, consuming everything aboard. All hands, battle stations, Chun ordered, were going in. The Prometheus charged into the system, its weapons blazing. The ship's pulse cannons and photon torpedoes struck the nearest hunter ships, causing explosions of light in the darkness. For a moment, Chun allowed herself to hope they might actually make a difference. Then the Void Hunters began to adapt. The second wave of human weapons struck the enemy ships and simply bounced off. The machines had analyzed the attack and modified their armor in real time. Worse, they were learning from the engagement, becoming more efficient with each passing second. Commander, our weapons are having no effect, reported Lieutenant Commander Jackson from Tactical. They're adapting faster than we can modify our attack patterns. A dozen hunter ships turned toward the Prometheus, their weapons charging with deadly energy. Chun realized with growing dread that they had made a terrible mistake. The Galactic Council had been right about one thing: conventional weapons were useless against these machines. But as the enemy closed in, something unexpected happened. The space around them filled with the song of the Quilani. Elder Corvani's voice came over the communication channel, joined by thousands of other Quilani voices from the ships scattered throughout the system. They were singing their death song, a haunting melody that spoke of forests and flowing water, of children playing in flower meadows and artists creating beauty from nothing. Webb was staring at his instruments with wide eyes. "Commander, something's happening to the Void Hunters. The Quilani song. It's creating some kind of harmonic resonance. Their neural networks are fluctuating." Martinez was already running calculations. "If we could amplify that frequency using our communications array, we might be able to disrupt their coordination protocols." "Do it," Chon ordered. The Prometheus turned its massive communication dish toward the Void Hunter formation and broadcast the Quilani death song at maximum power. The effect was immediate and devastating. The hunter ships began to shudder and spin out of control as their artificial minds were overwhelmed by the harmonics. "It's working," Torres shouted. "Their formation is breaking up, but the victory was short-lived. The Void Hunters were already adapting, modifying their neural networks to filter out the disruptive frequencies. Within minutes, they would be immune to the Quilani song. Chun was about to order a retreat when her long-range sensors detected something that made her heart race. More ships were dropping out of warp at the edge of the system. At first, she feared it was a galactic council fleet coming to arrest them for disobeying orders. Asterisk. Instead, she saw the familiar profiles of human vessels. The destroyer UES Defiance, the cruiser UES Resilience, and a dozen smaller ships from the Earth Colonial Fleet. Captain Rodriguez of the Defiance appeared on the main screen. "Chun, you magnificent fool. Did you really think you could save an entire species all by yourself?" Asterisk, when hope has a human face. "Miguel, what are you doing here?" Chun asked, relief flooding through her voice as she watched the human fleet take position. Around the Prometheus. Captain Rodriguez grinned. "Word got out about your little unauthorized mission. Turns out a lot of us humans have a problem with standing by while innocent people get slaughtered. Command tried to stop us, but we had mechanical problems with our communication systems." Captain Sarah Kim of the Resilience cut in. "Funny how these old ships sometimes develop selective hearing when it comes to orders we don't like." As the human fleet engaged the Void Hunters, Webb was working frantically at his science station. The brief success with the Quilani harmonic song had given him an idea, but he needed more data. "Commander, I need to get closer to the Quilani homeworld. There's something about their neural patterns that affects the Void Hunters in ways we don't understand." "Torres, get me Elder Corvani," Chon ordered. The holographic image of the Quilani leader appeared on the main screen. Corvani looked like a walking tree with graceful limbs and bark-like skin that shimmered with patterns of light. His large, dark eyes held both desperation and wonder. "Human Commander Chun," Corvani said in his wind chime voice, "you came. Even when your own leaders forbade it, you came to help strangers." "We're not strangers anymore, Elder Corvani," Chun replied. "We're friends, and humans don't abandon their friends." Webb leaned forward. "Elder, when your people sing, it affects the machines. Can you tell me why?" Corvani's bark patterns shifted in what Webb recognized as deep thought. "Our song carries the memory of our world. Every tree, every flower, every creature that ever lived here. The Void Hunters consume matter and energy, but they cannot consume memory or dreams. Perhaps that is why they fear our song." Webb's eyes widened as understanding dawned. "Commander, the Quilani aren't just singing. They're broadcasting pure consciousness, pure life experience. The Void Hunters are artificial intelligences built to process and consume physical matter. When they encounter something that exists outside their programming parameters, like emotion, memory, creativity, their systems can't handle it." Martinez was already running calculations. "If we could create a network between our ships and the Quilani, we might be able to amplify their consciousness-based signal across the entire system. The problem is range, Webb said. The Quilani song is powerful, but it's organic. It doesn't travel well through space without degrading. What if we used quantum entanglement? Martinez suggested. We could link our communication arrays with Quilani neural patterns and create an instantaneous network across the entire system. Chon nodded. Do it. Elder Corvani, we need your people to work with us. Can you have the survivors on each ship sync their neural patterns with our communication? Network? If it will save our children, we will do anything. Corvani replied as the battle raged around them. Human engineers and Quilani worked together to create something that had never existed before. A hybrid technological-biological network that could broadcast consciousness itself as a weapon. The first test was limited to the Prometheus and 3 Quilani ships. The result was extraordinary. When the combined human-Quilani signal reached the nearest group of void hunters, the machines didn't just malfunction. They stopped completely, as if overwhelmed by the sheer complexity of organic thought. It's working, Torres reported excitedly. The hunter ships are completely shut down. Their AI cores can't process the mixed signals of human determination and Quilani life memory. But the void hunters were already beginning to adapt again. The larger ships in the sphere around the planet were modifying their programming to filter out the consciousness-based attacks. Chun realized they needed to act fast. All ships, this is Commander Chun. We're implementing the consciousness network across the entire fleet. Human ships will provide the technological backbone. Quilani ships will provide the life pattern matrix. Captain Rodriguez responded immediately, Defiance standing by for neural link. Resilience ready, came Captain Kim's voice. One by one, every human ship in the fleet connected to the network. The Quilani survivors on dozens of ships joined their voices and minds to the collective effort. What emerged was something unprecedented in galactic history, a perfect fusion of human ingenuity and alien wisdom. The consciousness wave that erupted from the combined fleet was like nothing the Void Hunters had ever encountered. It carried the memories of Earth's forests and the Quilani homeworld's crystal trees. It held human dreams of exploration and Quilani visions of perfect harmony. It contained the stubborn determination that had driven humanity to the stars and the gentle strength that had sustained the Quilani through countless generations. The effect on the Void Hunters was catastrophic. Their artificial minds, designed to consume and process matter, were completely overwhelmed by the complexity of organic consciousness. Ship after ship simply shut down, their AI cores burning out as they tried to comprehend emotions and memories. Massive sphere around the Quilani homeworld began to collapse as its component ships fell silent. For the first time in over 1,000 years, the Void Hunters had encountered something they could not consume or adapt to, the infinite complexity of living minds. Elder Corvani's voice came over the communication channel, now filled with joy instead of despair. The metal devils are fleeing. The song of life has driven them away. Human friends, you have given us back our world. But Webb was studying his long-range sensors with growing excitement. Commander, this is bigger than just saving the Quilani. The consciousness network we've created, it's propagating through subspace. Other species are detecting it. Torres was receiving dozens of incoming transmissions. Commander, I'm getting calls from worlds across the outer rim. Species that were abandoned by their governments, left to face the Void Hunters alone. They're asking if we can help them too. Chun looked around at her crew, seeing the same determination in their eyes that had brought them to Andromedus in the first place. The Galactic Council had written off entire sectors as unsalvageable. The major powers had decided that some civilizations were too expensive to save, but humans had never been very good at accepting other people's definitions of impossible. Torres, Send a message to all those worlds. Tell them help is coming. Tell them they're not alone anymore. As news of the victory at Andromeda spread throughout the galaxy, something extraordinary began to happen. Young beings from dozens of species started asking their governments why they had abandoned the Outer Rim worlds. Protests broke out on core worlds as citizens demanded to know why their leaders had chosen politics over compassion. Dr. Webb found himself appointed as the first director of the Human Alien Consciousness Research Institute, dedicated to developing the technology that had saved the Quilani. Chief Martinez became the chief engineer of a new type of ship designed specifically for rescue missions in impossible situations. Commander Chun was promoted to admiral and given command of what would become known as the Hope Fleet, a joint human-alien force dedicated to helping species that everyone else had given up on. The Galactic Council officially condemned their actions as reckless and illegal. Privately, many council members began to wonder if humanity's refusal to abandon others might be exactly what the galaxy needed. Elder Corvani had the final word. Standing in the restored gardens of his homeworld, surrounded by Quilani children who would grow up free because humans had refused to let them die, he spoke to the interstellar news networks. When our world was dying and the galaxy turned away, only humans stepped forward. They asked for nothing but the chance to do what their hearts told them was right. Today, we learned that hope has a human face, and that sometimes the greatest strength comes not from weapons or technology, but from refusing to let others face darkness alone. The Void Hunters never returned to the Outer Rim. Some said they had been destroyed completely. Others believed they had retreated to the deep voids between galaxies, unable to comprehend or adapt to the power of consciousness working in harmony. But across the galaxy, on worlds that had been abandoned and species that had been forgotten, beings looked up at the stars and knew that somewhere out there, humans were watching over them. And if the darkness ever came again, Earth's children would not let them face it alone. The galaxy had turned its back on its own. But humanity had answered the call, and in doing so, had shown the universe what it truly meant to be alive. Asterisk.